Well, hello, and welcome back to Idle Kingdom Defense. So today, 17,275, and of course, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and you know it, I know it, make sure to ring that bell. So here we are in 5. I might have gone too far today, but here we are in 5. So again, we just skipped the first couple because I try to keep the video around 8 minutes. I think longer than that's too much. So here we are, AoEing this down, and you know, I did realize I was late on replying to a bunch of comments. I apologize for that. I was sick. I then was focused, really hyper-focused on Diablo 2 just to finish the season out. And now we're kind of back to a more moderate thing. And again, it's just, I'm probably going to try and do Diablo 2 differently this time. Diablo 4, not Diablo 2, Diablo 4, and just try and make it so I don't have to cram so much at the end. I will say that the number one thing I kind of miss, and it wouldn't really work in either Diablo 3 or Diablo 4, is I do miss 8-player parties. Granted, I totally see, I think a 4-man party is much more reasonable. Most of the time when you were in an 8-player game anyways, you were not trying to play with other players. But, yeah. There was just something, I feel like there was something lost in going from 8 to 4 players. Even though I do feel like 4 players is a much better size for doing group combat. Now, I will say that where I take a different opinion is in World of Warcraft. I do believe that they should increase dungeons from... They should scale it so it could be 5 or 6 DPS. And ideally, they should make it so 6 DPS makes it. I mean, that's 5 or 6 party members, which would be 1 tank, 3 DPS, and 1 healer, or 1 tank, 4 DPS, and 1 healer. And I do feel like they should scale it so that with 6 players, it's a little easier than 5. And except for Mythic Dungeons, they could leave it locked at 5. And mostly, the reason I would suggest that is to reduce the pressure on the queue. Because you run into a problem when endgame content requires 2 tanks. And it's I think, 20-man raid. It's 2 tanks and, like, 4 healers. And then it's 14 DPS. And so there becomes a ratio issue. That's a lot of the reason, though, why respecs are cheap in World of Warcraft. I mean, they're not even cheap, they're free. Because, if you're a DPS and you have a tank spec, they want you to be able to tank and stuff like that pretty easily because it, again, reduces pressure on the queue. That was kind of a weird side thing. But you know these stages, we're just AoEing stuff down, like, gotta get that. And the nice thing about the reason I like King's Ruin is the rewards for doing these stages are like 10x what I farm in a normal stage. Plus the rubies. Never have enough rubies. Like I said, I've been hoarding rubies forever on the hope that, like, there's actually something I would spend rubies on. It hasn't happened, but I'm still hopeful that, well, it hasn't happened because I haven't needed castle health. If you find your castle health really limiting, you can actually spend gold. I mean, you can spend rubies buying gold, and that's probably the number one thing you could do is if your castle health is lacking. And again, this is not something for a starting player. You would not want to do it because, again, the further you go through waves, the more... that is the other reason to advance, is if you were looking to have, like, a high score on castle health, you want to be at the highest wave you can be, because the wave determines how much gold you get per rubies. Again, I will still say that the conversion, if you look at it, is absolutely garbage. Basically, for a day's worth of leveling, I'd spend 2,000 rubies, and I don't even make 2,000 rubies a day when you consider all the stuff I do purchase. So it's a good deal, but also it feels like a ripoff. We'll look after this. Actually, we won't look after this. You can look in your own and see the ratio I'm talking about. I think I get like 8 billion. I don't even think, I think I get 800 million gold. And I make 4 billion a day. So it's basically 1/5 of my daily production that I get. And to me, that's like, okay, so I could, and realistically, about half my gold was going into leveling characters. So, but you know, looking at that, it's like, yeah, no thank you. The nice thing, though, about the castle is the archers do scale infinitely with it. So there's no cap on how much archer attack they will get from leveling up the castle. The problem is, though, my archers have 7 million attack, almost. And you know how much my castle contributes to that? 50k. So it's really not that great. They really should have implemented some kind of step function to make it more interesting. But this is what I have tried to explain to the developers for a long time. You have a castle, make it do more than just get health and 1 archer damage. Imagine if every 1,000 levels or 5,000 or 10,000 levels, your castle did something cool. You're actually now incentivized. Now, that bargain that I'm talking about, well, if now you can turn some rubies into gold, and let's say getting my castle, like I think I'm at about 107,000 right now. And let's say that, oh, you know, if I'm going to push, getting my castle to 110,000 is going to give my heroes do more damage. It's going to give the castle more defense. It's going to make the archers better. Well, now I'm incentivized to say, oh, well, maybe I should spend some rubies to get there. But it is what it is. And here we go. Ruins 14. So we're almost done here. This is honestly, I know this was a different one, but it was just, this is just a stream of conscious for me, man. Someday, like, and it's hard to comment the same thing on the battles over and over again, you know, like, oh, look, the catapults, they line up in Marion's attack. You hear that every time. Well, if you're actually enough of a saint to watch every one of these videos, you hear it every time. And finally, oh, you know, I even forgot to use my buffs. I'll use them at the end here. I guess I could have used them for this stage, but it doesn't matter, 15 or 1, they're both AoE stages. At least the fact that I said it after I entered the stage definitely isn't worth it. Whoopsie. Whoopsie daisy. I made an oopsie. It's fine, though. Yeah, when I get carried away talking, sometimes I just go in autopilot, which is, autopilot is just, let's complete the stages, you know? So, there we go, our 649th victory. We'll go ahead and grab the buffs that we should have got for stage 11. And that would have been nice, double damage on stage 11. And finally, 74% to Marion, 23% to Christian. Hey, Vincent, you still didn't do 1 trillion damage. He has a few times, but he is the king of 1%, and Roderick is the king of 0%. So, that said, though, once again, as always, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. If you have any questions, feel free to say something in the comments. I do always look forward to your questions. And as always, thank you again, and I hope you have a great day.